I just want to quickly go over 2 points that I get personally from the next 2 clips. The first is this goal reduction or standards reduction that needs to take place in a woman who is at or very near her sexual peak, attractiveness to men, but doesn't quite have that insight into the scarcity in the sexual marketplace. He cleverly runs her through the potential pitfalls. The first point, where he asks her, why do you think that 80 years ago, women who were average, either as a self-assessment, self-evaluation, or as perceived by other people to be average, why do you think these women did not get high-value men? And her answer, which is correct, he does accept it actually, her answer was because they accepted their station in life. They just go on with life. They got husbands, they made their families, they lived life. They didn't hang around waiting for that high-value man into older age. They got married young. They just took whoever was available. I'm sure it wasn't that simple, but in general, this is overall perhaps what happened. She correctly identifies that this is what happened years ago, and things were less complicated therefore for women. She got that bit right. And then the second point, which I want to draw to your attention, is when Kevin asks her, okay, so you are not doing that, but your grandmother did, 80 years ago. You are waiting for a high-value man right now. You're 29 already. So far, you haven't taken up an offer which was thrown at you when you were younger. She agrees. So she wasn't waiting because she was in education or she was building a fantastic career. So she's not guilty of the sins of the usual modern woman. She's just been living her life. She wasn't focusing on anything particularly. I think she's just a lady who just hasn't really dated much because she's of that kind of personality, which is not very outgoing. She does mention that she's been to therapy because she wasn't very socially interactive before and she needed some behavioral therapy, and now she's better. Now, this is another point in her favor. She identified a problem and she went to therapy. Kevin Samuels is always going on about, go to therapy. Yes, I see the benefit in that if the aim of therapy is to solve a problem. So that's a good thing. I am personally not a very good fan of therapy, but that's not relevant. I don't really like therapy because I think basic social problems are too much medicalized. But if therapy is there to solve the problem, particularly if you don't have someone close, a friend or maybe even a relative to discuss it with, then therapy is a good thing. So anyway, my own opinions aside, my conclusion with respect to people who need a problem solved, particularly when it relates to dating, is go for it. So when Kevin Samuels asks her, if you, as you are now, you don't have your first choice man coming right over to you now, but time is running out, what would you do? And she says, well, I'll just then drop my values, drop my standards, drop my expectations, and get the next choice man. And he asks her, would you want to be that man? Would you want to be any woman's second choice? And then it hits her because she suddenly starts to realize, that's not very nice to be in this position. And let's face it, this is the reality of many men who perhaps were rejected by women who were younger, and then suddenly when women are much older and have sadly been, how should I put this politely, used by other men, suddenly these previously non-desired men become all the rage. They must know at some level that they're not really, the bee's knees, are they? That's a British term, by the way. It's it's a term meaning, the ultimate prize, a good thing, a special thing, the bee's knees. So they're not the bee's knees, but they were picked just before the woman had to accept living life alone. So she was very much settling for him. That's not a very nice position for a man to be in. And she has the correct response to that question. You can see almost a remorse in her face when she realizes, well, yes, that's not very nice for the man if I'm doing this to him. So what's the solution to this? The solution is still to drop the high expectations, but with a twist. And that twist is to respect that second choice in a way that that second choice is perceived to be in reality your first choice and in fact your only choice. Because it's the attitude that counts. If you see someone as your first choice, your only choice, you treat them much better than if you see them as a second choice. And this is the big difference of many women who are of the I am not settling brigade, because they really do see these second choice men as second choice. And that's a shame, because their whole attitude is, you are not the standard I'm looking for. If I do have to be with you, if I do have to marry you, I will forever treat you as less than. And no man needs to go through that. No woman either, by the way. But here we're talking about men being on the receiving end of this attitude. No man needs to go through that. I would never, ever allow my brother to bring home a woman who treats him like this. Neither my best friend, my best male friend, or any other man that I know and love. I wouldn't want that. And if I saw that, I would advise my male friend or relative to rethink the relationship. So it's a very sad place to be. It's not very nice, and marriages are for life, right? So if you do allow yourself to get into such a position, you are there for the whole of your life. Who needs that?
Would you want a woman coming
Exactly.
to you that way?
As long, I wouldn't mind as long as they're not like talking about it. As long as they're coming
Oh,
with
okay.
fresh energy,
Oh, okay.
then that's
So, okay. But as long as they're not talking about it, would you want to be somebody's second choice?
no. I wouldn't want that. No,
Why not? Why not?
because it doesn't make you feel worthy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now we're getting there. See, back in the day, women who were average were happy to get men who were average and went off and built a life, because everybody, it's called assortative mating. But today, women who are average want luxury lifestyles that they can't afford themselves. So the only way to get that is to get it through a man's money. But don't you think if you had to go out and make that money, you would want the best you could get?
Yeah, definitely. I've
Okay.
earned it. So
Well, so in other words, this is a hard question. They've earned it. Well, is an average woman a worthy reward for a high value man?
can you repeat that? Sorry.
Is an average woman a worthy reward? Average woman, worthy reward. Average woman, worthy prize for a high value man to earn?
No, unless
mean,
all other women are like gone, then we'll be
they're
like
not.
this.
I'm just trying to get you ladies to understand that you don't want to be somebody's second choice. So these average men that you just overlook every day because they can't afford to give you a lifestyle that you can't afford. You didn't put yourself in a position to afford. You don't have the skills to afford. And if you decide to finally give up looking for Mr. High Value, whether you talk about it or not, men don't want to be the second choice. Let me let you ladies know why men know this is the case. Because you don't get to be a woman over 30 years old and not having been approached by suitable men. Most men know that you've been approached by suitable men since you were a teen. You've just passed them up, waiting for a better deal. So now when women become over 30, they start to settle. And men are like, back then you didn't want me. Now you're out of options. You all owe me. That's how men are looking at it. Like you
Yeah,
said,
I understand. Yeah.
I'm just saying, why not live an average, normal life where you have to work
Mm.
while you're married and you have to put your kids in daycare and you have to save and live at your budget and do that for 30 years, then retire modestly and live a modest life.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can happily do that easily. I could easily do that. I kind of see that in my sister's relationship. She's married and her husband earns well, and they have 3 children, and they're so
But
happy.
but that's not what you came in saying.
No, because I was asking if I have the potential to meet a high valued man,
Right.
based on like me.
Okay. I
But
get
you've
it.
made it.
But my thing is, there are magnitudes more average men and above average men. And at 29, time is running out.
Yeah, big time.
And if you're not, I mean, and the reality is, you know the kind of men who actively approach you for serious relationship. And if they're not top 10% men, they're not going to start becoming top 10% men just because you're older and want them. That's for all women. Ladies, listen and listen well. You know the kind and caliber of men that approach you for serious relationship. If they didn't approach you at 25 or 23, they're not going to approach you at 30, 35, or 40. Not going to happen. I mean,
Yeah,
what product gains value with age and use?
none that I can think of.
There you go.
And here we see how Kevin Samuels gently takes her through the realities of the dating market, as we've already discussed above. And she very graciously accepts his truths, because I think she feels like everyone else watching the video, we feel he's telling the truth. You know, we see it ourselves in our own daily lives, and she accepts it and doesn't make any kind of resistance to his words. She is, after all, there to learn, and we see how she accepts it and comes to a different conclusion as she did when she first called into the show. And this is why I congratulate this lady. I think she's done very well. She's made a major step towards enriching her own life. Okay, she comes away with a message: don't aim for that high value man. You may get one, who knows, but let that not be your hurdle in life. Go for the average man, because you're an average woman. Most people have to do that. Let's not inflate our own egos and think that we are special and better than everyone else. And she accepts that. So I think I'll end the video here. The next few questions he poses to her are just questions about her personal history, etc. And just so you know, she's dated very little, actually, as I alluded to before. So actually she doesn't have much experience in the dating. With her level of insight into dating in general. But there's a lot of room for improvement, and the important thing is she's willing to improve her lot in life. And once again, I congratulate her. I'm really pleased when I see something like this, because we know there is hope. It's not everyone that's rotten. Peace and harmony. Best wishes for your own life, and particularly if you're in the dating market, for your dating success.